But that's what happens with Toastmasters is a different organization. But if you're doing presentation outside Toastmasters, like I do quite often, practically all the time, you get to know your audience before the presentation. Even more, there is a whole questionnaire which I have in my handouts, how to go and research your audience. And there are about a dozen questions that you have to ask. I say have to because you have to know your audience. If you don't, you're in for an unpleasant surprise. Number of them. Yes?
What are those questions? Can you give us some things?
One of them, some of them.
About the audience, yes.
The question was, what are the questions in the questionnaire about knowing your audience? And the most important one, there are no important ones. All of them are important. I can give you a couple of them. For example, ratio of men and women in your audience. Why is it important to know how many men and women are in your audience? Age range in your audience, from to. For example, here, I have very different age range in my audience. I have people close to my age. I have people close to my daughter's age. So maybe some of the things that I was talking about in my speech, you couldn't relate as close as people close to my age. That's why I was a little bit worried when I saw only people, I mean, half of my age walking into the room. I said, gee, maybe I should change something. But then I saw people my age coming in and I said, okay, we're okay. So I can cover the whole range. Same thing. Okay, but again, it was just 7-minute speech, it was demonstration. But if you're having a presentation and you're talking about some issues, you need to know the language. And it's not about being smart or no. It's not with our mental abilities. It's the culture. It's the generations. You can do nothing about it. I don't watch shows my daughter watches. She doesn't watch my shows. We don't listen to the same music. We're not reading the same books. We do communicate. We do like the same shows, we do like the same music, but not all of it is the same. We have our differences, and thank God we have our differences. We should have our differences, but we need to know about it in advance, as much as possible. Education level of education, also important. You have to know how to talk to different people on different levels. If we're talking about, if we are talking to college students only, it's one presentation. If we're talking to professors, it's a different level of presentation, and so forth. And there are more questions, not like this, different questions. Okay, it's a whole page. So, know your audience as much as possible in advance, and make friends as much as possible in advance. Okay? Any other questions?
You made a small bow at the end of your presentation, but Toastmasters International says you don't need to thank your audience. So, do you consider it okay to do like this? Or maybe you consider okay to say thank you? What's your opinion about this?
My question was, Toastmasters International says do not thank your audience. They should be happy to see you, to have you, and to listen to you. You see how happy you are now? My personal opinion is you can always thank your audience. I don't thank my audience for having me here. I thank my audience for a gift you give me. And even today, right now, you're giving me an enormous gift. Your time. It's your time. It's your personal time. And you chose to come here and have a conversation with me. And for that I thank you. Always. Because money we can earn. Time is irreplaceable. This 2 hours gone and will never come back. And you chose to be here, for which I thank you. So I think it's always important to acknowledge and to be grateful. Because without audience, there are no presenters. Without theater, there are no actors. Without movies, there are no movie actors. So we, as presenters, depend on our audience. Okay? Any more? See, it's a little bit different format because I love talking to Toastmasters because you have interesting questions. So that's why I'm asking always any more questions. It's not that I have nothing else to say. I can talk about it for days. I love presentations, but I like to hear questions. Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
How to overcome us like we
Aha.
Yes.
What was the question?
I'm hydrating myself. The question was how to overcome the weed words. A, o, u, hum, amana, 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 amana. A question to you. Out of hour and 15 minutes, did you hear any ums, oohs?
No.
No, once, just now. No, it was demonstration. How? The best and the only way I know is Toastmasters. Why? Because they'll tell you, oh, Isaac, you have 15 ahs and 25 ums. I'm not making up the number. On my icebreaker speech, my first icebreaker, because I have like already fourth one. On my first icebreaker speech, I had 15 or 20 ahs and so many ums. And then I started counting. Then I started paying attention. And then I discovered an interesting thing. You can pause instead of saying ah. Because pause is not, it's not a taboo, it's not bad, it's good. So you stop, collect your thoughts, and then continue. And you avoid ahs or ums. If you have nothing to say, don't say it. I don't know about your politicians, but our politicians, this is an example of ahs and ums. I think that our counter would have a wonderful time just counting ahs and ums of all these politicians. I remember one of the Kennedys, I forgot her first name. She said so many you knows that she dropped out of the race. They made so much fun of her because on TV, no, on a radio interview. She had a radio interview and she said so many times you know that she eventually dropped out. So there were 1,200 something. So it was just you know. Finally the interview said no, I don't know. That's how bad it was. She practically insulted her. You don't do this with the interviewee, but it was too much. So she didn't go to Toastmasters, obviously. But the only way I know. But you just pay attention to it. That's how you get rid of your ahs and ums. And we'll tell you when you come up here and you do your presentation. We'll tell you. Oh yeah, we have evaluators in our seminars. Everybody's evaluating everybody. Okay. Yes. Oh, finally, the back of the room. Yes. Kamchatka.
I have a question. If you give a presentation or a speech on some professional topic, and you are asked a question, and you don't know the answer for this question, and you don't want to look silly or incompetent, what is the best answer?
Everybody heard the question, right? It came from the back. You know, I don't have answer to this question, but I will find out, and I promise to get back to you. That is the answer. Why? Yeah, that's the answer. That's the only answer. If you don't know the answer to the question, you honestly say that I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to the question, but I will find out and I'll get back to you. Please do get back. Get back to the person. Don't lie. Why? Because if you start lying and wykruchivatsa, eventually you will twist yourself into knots, and you won't get anywhere. You cannot do that. You cannot fool everybody. If you don't know the answer, honestly say, I'm sorry, I don't. Why? Because we cannot know everything. Nobody knows everything. Nobody. No, there is no genius who knows everything. So, yeah, that's the answer.